Hey there. So recently I was talking to a friend of mine that gave me a call and she's like, Mariah, my family and I are thinking about making a move to Utah. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is amazing. And I said, where are you thinking about making a move? She's like, I'm actually not quite sure. It's either going to be somewhere in the Salt Lake area or it's going to be somewhere in St. George. And I said, oh, well, St. George and Salt Lake are very different. You know that, right? And she started laughing. She's like, yes, I know. You know, her husband was interested in one and she was interested in the other. And so we just started talking about, really some of the pros and cons between St. George, Utah, which is all the way down in southern Utah, as opposed to Salt Lake, which is more in, the northern part of Utah. So we started talking about these different things. And she's like, yeah, I'm just not sure I could do St. George because of all these different things. So today I'm going to share with you really just 10 things about St. George, Utah that you may, it may not be the best fit for you, for your family, if you cannot handle these 10 things. And let's hop into it right now. Mariah here. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your very first time here. I'm a licensed and active real estate agent here in the Salt Lake City, Utah area, and this channel is literally everything you need to know about eating, working, playing, sleeping, and living in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. If that's of interest to you, consider subscribing down below and make sure you tap that bell for notifications so you are notified every week I drop a new video. We hear from people like you all the time who are looking to make a move, looking to relocate, or looking to buy or sell a property here in Utah, and we absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about making a move in a week, in a month, or even a year from now, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, and it would be our absolute pleasure to connect with you. So like I said, I was chatting with a friend of mine who's thinking about making a move here to Utah, and she, was giving me the ideas of like, I'm thinking about maybe St. George, but I'm thinking about Salt Lake. But here are some of the things of maybe why I don't want to move to St. George. And I thought, you know what? This is actually a perfect video to share with you guys, because I remember when we made a move to Utah, a lot of people up here in the Salt Lake area, they go down to St. George. It's about a 3.5-hour drive. My family and I were actually just there last weekend, and we had the best time. And I was asking my kids, I was like, hey guys, could you live here in St. George? And they're like, well, I don't know. And so we just started kind of talking about things. So here's 10 things, and we're going to just start with number one of maybe why you want to avoid St. George, of actually living there if you can't handle these different things. On the other hand, it's a great fit for some. So number one is the heat. Yes, it is hot, hot, hot at certain parts during the year. So you're going to have about 4 months or so during the year where it is going to be right around 90s to 100 degrees. I remember, we've gone to St. George in July and August sometimes, and it is hot and it doesn't cool down much at night. You're going to still have, at nighttime, it might drop down into the 80s, but it will still be really warm during the day. So it's funny, I was actually talking with somebody about the weather in St. George recently, and they're like, yeah, if you can't handle the heat, then St. George is probably maybe not the best fit for you, just because it does get hot. However, know this, and I know I've said this before about, the weather and in Utah, is that it is a dry heat. So it's going to you're not going to feel that hot, like it's going to be hot, but you're not going to feel as much humidity as you will in other areas. So number one is the heat. Number two is the job opportunities. In St. George, there are fewer job opportunities in and around that area, simply because it's a lot smaller than Salt Lake. Or if you go an hour and a half south down to Las Vegas, you will have a lot more job opportunities there. In St. George, there are limited job opportunities. So a lot of people that are coming in are going, oh, I'm interested in maybe living in St. George, but I'm having a hard time finding a job if you don't have, access to maybe like remoting in or whatnot. Yes, there's still jobs there, but they are more limited. Number three is the cost of living in St. George has gone up considerably over the years. In fact, I was actually just looking at the median home price as I'm shooting this video last night, and it is right around $550,000 for a single family home. It, used to be right around 250, 300,000 for a single family home. So I know when we went down there, we stayed in an Airbnb and we were like, gosh, this is such a great community. This is so fun. We were looking up for what was it? It was a 4-bedroom, 3.5-bath townhome in a really great area of St. George. But homes in that area, townhomes about 2,500 square feet, were going for $820,000. So $820,000 for a townhome. Again, depends on the area, depends on where you're at, but sometimes you will see that cost of living and the house prices have definitely gone up. Moving right along to number 4 is the limited transportation. Yes, the limited, different transportation that is right there. Public transportation, there's not a lot of it. There's not a big train system. There's not those things that you're going to see like the track system that's in Salt Lake. You are not going to see that in, St. George. Yes, there's the bus system that goes. And kind of moving right along to the next one, St. George has a small airport that's right in St. George. But when we're talking about an international airport, the next closest international airport would be going down south to Las Vegas, which is about an hour and a half away. So if you are a big traveler and that international airport is a big thing, then, that proximity to the airport might be a deal breaker for you, or it might not, just simply depending on your preference. Or if you go up to Salt Lake, you're about 3.5 hours to get north of St. George to Salt Lake. So that public transportation, and then that next one was the accessibility to those airports. Number 6 is the limited entertainment that is in St. George. St. George is a small town. It was never intended to be, some large town. It is a small town. So the entertainment opportunities that are there, yes, there are lots of things to do, but in terms of, big festivals and in terms of, big megaplexes and, huge, lots of shopping and stuff, which will bring me to the next one, that entertainment aspect, you're not going to experience that in St. George, which brings me to the next one, which is limited shopping opportunities. Yes, there are shopping malls there, and there's one major shopping mall that's there in particular, but you're not going to have a lot of those high-end name brands for a lot of those, because that, the shopping complex, that mall, is fairly small when you compare it to a lot of other things. So more limited entertainment, more limited shopping experiences than you're going to experience in Salt Lake. So if you're a big shopper, you're really into entertainment, so that, St. George may not be the fit for you. Which moving right along into professional sports teams. I recently had a family that reached out to me and they said, hey, you know what? We're thinking about moving from Texas. We love our sports. We love our professional sports. We love our college sports. We're really a big sports family. And we're thinking about moving to Utah, but we're a little concerned about some of, the professional sports. In St. George, there's not a professional sports team. You do have Utah Tech University, which is the university that used to be called Dixie State. That's in St. George. And yes, they have sports there, but you're not going to have those professional sports teams, accessibility really to that down in southern Utah. Yes, again, if you go to Las Vegas, you will have professional sporting teams there, but you're not necessarily going to experience that in St. George. So like I said, more limited entertainment, more limited shopping experiences, and the lack of the professional sports teams and the big teams that are in St. George. Number 8, moving right along, is the distance to get to major cities. Now, some people love living in St. George because it is that small town, because you have to drive a little ways to get to those major cities. Like I said, 3.5 hours north to get to Salt Lake, and you're an hour and a half to get to Las Vegas. So in terms of major cities that are nearby, you're not going to experience that. St. George, one of the biggest places that are in St. George is the Costco and the mall that's there. But in terms of big cities, people move to St. George because they want that more relaxed feel, which you will feel more in St. George, but the distance to get to major cities is a drawback for some. The drawback for some is the traffic. Because St. George is a small town, it really was never intended for as many people that are moving to St. George. So I know a lot of the roads are one way in and one way out. And a lot of there's just a lot more traffic and congestion that St. George has experienced really over the last 10 years. I know us personally, when we used to go down to St. George, it just, you could get everywhere pretty fast. Now there's a lot more stop signs, there's a lot more stoplights. And depending on what time of day you are going, it'll take you a while to get certain places simply because of the traffic. And last but not least are the limited educational experiences and opportunities that are there. In St. George, like I'd mentioned, Utah Tech University is in St. George. The next university that is closest to St. George is a little bit more north, which is in Cedar City, and that one is Southern Utah University. If you go down to Las Vegas, obviously, UNLV, and there's other universities there as well. But in terms of educational opportunities and whatnot, it is more limited, similar to, everything else that we talked about, simply because it's a small town. Like I said, for some people are like, I can't wait to get to St. George because I want the small town feel. I don't want all the hustle and bustle. I want to distance myself from some of those major cities. But for others, people are thinking, I can't deal with the heat. I simply, because the price of housing has skyrocketed, the job opportunities are more limited, the shopping is a little bit more limited, same with entertainment, international airports. So just know this going in. If that sounds like, oh, you know what? The weather doesn't matter to me. Or, hey, you know what? The distance to the airport, not a big deal. Job opportunities. Hey, I can work remotely. Whatever that is, just know that going forward, because hey, you know what? If you're thinking about moving to St. George, it may be a great fit for you. It may not, but at least you will know these top things moving into that. And again, if you are thinking about making a move out here to Utah, we hear from people like you all the time, and we absolutely love it. So feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. So let's see how we can make that move as easy and seamless as possible for you. Wishing you a wonderful rest of your day. Take care and have a good one. Bye.